The message arrived on a Tuesday. It came not with the dramatic flash of lightning or the roar of massive ships darkening the sky, but as a simple data packet received by radio telescopes around the world. The contents were unmistakable. Humanity was not alone, and the neighbors had been watching. "Play it again," said Dr. Abigail Norton, her eyes fixed on the holographic display floating above her desk. The recording flickered to life once more. "People of Earth," began the translation, spoken in a neutral voice that somehow still carried an alien quality. "The Galactic Council acknowledges your technological advancement to Level 3 status. You are hereby classified as a tamed world and invited to send representatives to Council Station Epsilon for orientation and protectorate assignment. Failure to respond within one planetary rotation will be interpreted as rejection of Council oversight." Abigail ran her fingers through her short gray hair, her mind racing with implications. She had spent 30 years studying theoretical xenobiology, preparing for contact that many of her colleagues had laughed off as impossible. Now it had happened, and something in the message troubled her deeply. "Tamed," she whispered. "They think we're tamed." The emergency summit convened in Geneva 12 hours later. Representatives from every major nation crowded into the hall, faces drawn with concern as the message played for the assembled leaders. "What exactly does tamed world mean?" asked President Franklin. A thin man with wire-rimmed glasses stepped forward, Dr. Peter Mason, head of linguistics at Oxford. "Based on the full transmission data, it appears to be a classification system. The Council divides species into categories: primal, developing, tamed, partner, and elder. Our technology places us at Level 3, but our social structure has been deemed domesticated." Murmurs spread through the room. "And what is this protectorate assignment?" asked the Chinese premier. "As best we can determine," Peter replied, "it means we would be assigned to an elder species who would guide our development and restrict our expansion into space." The room erupted. Some leaders argued for immediate rejection of these terms. Others counseled caution, suggesting that even a subordinate role in galactic society would bring technological benefits. Abigail watched from her seat in the scientific advisory section, thoughts churning. Earth had one chance to make a first impression that could change this classification. She thought of her work at the Wolf Restoration Project in Montana, how those animals, once nearly extinct, had shown remarkable adaptability while maintaining their essential nature. When the floor opened to scientific advisors, Abigail rose slowly to her feet. "The Council has misunderstood us," she began, her voice firm despite her racing heart. "They've mistaken our civilization for tameness, our cooperation for domestication. We need to show them both sides of human nature, our capacity for order, and our untamed spirit." She took a deep breath. "I propose we send wolves as part of our delegation." The silence that followed lasted 3 full seconds before the room dissolved into chaos. Later, in a smaller meeting room, Abigail faced stern questioning from a panel of world leaders. "Wolves?" President Franklin leaned forward. "Dr. Norton, this is hardly the time for symbolic gestures." "It's not symbolism," Abigail insisted. "It's biology and psychology. Look at the message carefully. The Council clearly values certain traits. Their classification system suggests they respect both technological advancement and what they perceive as primal nature. We need to demonstrate that Earth represents a different path, cooperation between species without loss of fundamental identity." She activated her tablet, projecting images of the work she had been doing in Montana. "These wolves have been part of a special breeding and training program. They maintain their wild instincts but have formed unique bonds with human handlers. With genetic enhancement to boost their intelligence and communication abilities, they could serve as living proof that Earth isn't tamed, or something the Council hasn't seen before." Dr. William Burke, head of the genetics division at Harvard, shook his head. "The genetic modifications needed would take years, maybe decades." "Not with the breakthrough we made last month," Abigail countered. "The neural pathway enhancement could be completed in weeks." These animals already show remarkable problem-solving abilities and social intelligence. We wouldn't be creating something artificial, just enhancing what's already there. General Rogers, representing the military coalition, frowned. And you expect wolves to conduct diplomacy? They would work alongside human representatives, Abigail explained. Think of it as a pack, wolves and humans together, demonstrating our unique evolutionary relationship, one that has shaped both species without either becoming fully domesticated. Hours of debate followed. Scientists argued technical details while diplomats worried about protocol violations. But something about Abigail's proposal resonated, particularly when satellite imagery revealed the massive scale of the Council ships now positioned beyond Mars. 1 week later, Abigail stood at the fence of the main enclosure at the Montana facility, watching as potential candidates were evaluated. Beside her stood Jack Winters, the wildlife biologist whose work with wolf rehabilitation had caught her attention years earlier. That one, Jack said, pointing to a silver-gray female with alert eyes. Luna. She's showing all the markers we're looking for: problem-solving intelligence, social coordination, and human bonding capacity without loss of wild instincts. Abigail nodded, making notes as Luna navigated a complex puzzle box that had been placed in the enclosure. Instead of giving up when the obvious solution failed, the wolf paused, circled the box, and tried a completely different approach. She'll be joined by 6 others, Jack continued. We've identified candidates from different subspecies, each with unique strengths. Within days, the Montana facility transformed. New buildings sprang up as scientists, diplomats, and trainers arrived from around the world. Security tightened as the project took shape under the watchful eyes of military observers. In a sterile lab at the heart of the compound, Samantha Powell, a genetic engineer who had left a prestigious position at Stanford to join the project, prepared the enhancement serum that would forever change the relationship between humans and wolves. The procedure is ready, she told Abigail, but there's no guarantee how the enhanced intelligence will express itself. These wolves won't become human-like. They'll become something we've never seen before. That's exactly what we need, Abigail replied. Something the Council has never seen before. On the day of the first procedure, Abigail stood in the observation room, watching as Luna was carefully sedated. The wolf's steady breathing fogged the clear mask covering her muzzle, while Samantha prepared the injection that would enhance neural connections and communication centers in the animal's brain. The Council called Earth tamed, Abigail whispered, as the needle found its mark. They're about to learn how wrong they are. Outside, the Montana sky darkened with storm clouds. Thunder rolled across the mountains as if nature itself acknowledged that something profound was changing. Humanity's first ambassadors to the stars would not go alone. The wolves of Earth were awakening to a new purpose, carrying the wild heart of their planet to the stars. 3 weeks passed since the first procedure. The Montana facility buzzed with activity as scientists, trainers, and diplomats worked around the clock. 7 wolves had received the enhancement treatment, and the changes were nothing short of remarkable. Luna opened her eyes. The world looked different now. Sharper, more organized. She could understand patterns that had once been just shapes and sounds. She recognized Abigail not just as a familiar human, but as an individual with specific roles and goals. Most surprising was language. Human words floated into her mind with meaning attached, though speaking them remained beyond her physical capabilities. Jack Winters sat cross-legged on the floor of Luna's special enclosure, watching as she studied the communication tablet they had designed for her. The device allowed the enhanced wolves to select symbols and words, forming simple sentences. "Try again," Jack said softly. Luna's paw moved deliberately across the screen. The computer voice spoke her selected words. "Luna understand. Luna want learn more." Jack smiled, making notes on his own tablet. Amazing progress. 3 weeks ago, she couldn't recognize a single symbol. Now she's forming sentences. Across the facility, similar breakthroughs happened with each wolf. Timber, a large gray male with unusually dark markings, showed exceptional strategic thinking. When presented with group hunting simulations, he consistently found solutions that surprised even the most experienced wildlife experts. Sierra, a smaller Mexican wolf with reddish fur, demonstrated remarkable coordination abilities, often organizing the other wolves during pack exercises. River adapted quickly to new situations, while Hunter showed incredible endurance during physical training. Ash, a northwestern wolf with unusual silver-tipped fur, developed communication patterns that went beyond the simple symbol selection of the tablets. He began creating his own symbols when existing ones didn't express what he wanted, and Ghost, pure white and silent even before enhancement, showed an almost supernatural ability to understand technology. Cameras caught him observing door mechanisms, then opening them himself by pressing entry panels in the correct sequence. Daniel Rodriguez, formerly a diplomat with the United Nations, and now the team's animal behaviorist, gathered the human handlers for a meeting. "We've made incredible progress," he said, displaying charts of the wolves' cognitive development. "But we need to remember they aren't becoming human. They're becoming enhanced wolves, with wolf priorities, wolf social structures, and wolf instincts." Natalie Wright, the linguist responsible for developing the translation technology, nodded in agreement. Their language patterns reflect this. They don't use abstract concepts the way we do. Their communication focuses on action, relationship, and territory. "That's exactly what we need," Abigail reminded them. "The Council needs to see Earth's unique approach, cooperation between species without either losing their essential nature." The training continued, growing more complex as the wolves' abilities developed. Human and wolf teams worked through simulated diplomatic scenarios based on the limited information Earth had received about the Galactic Council. The wolves quickly grasped the concept of different species with different priorities and communication styles. One morning, as dawn broke over the Montana mountains, Jack took Luna and Timber to a special training area designed to simulate alien environments. Different gravity settings, unusual scents, and strange lighting created a disorienting effect. The wolves needed to learn to function in the unfamiliar settings they would encounter at the council station. "Ready?" Jack asked, adjusting his own breathing apparatus. Luna moved to the entrance, her posture confident. On her back, she wore a specially designed harness that housed communication equipment and environmental sensors. Timber followed closely, his darker fur making him nearly invisible in the strange purple lighting of the chamber. Jack activated the scenario. The gravity shifted, becoming lighter. Strange mechanical sounds played from hidden speakers. Unfamiliar scents pumped into the air. Luna hesitated for only a moment before padding forward, her movements adjusting quickly to the reduced gravity. Timber took a different route, circling the perimeter, alert for potential threats. They were working, as a pack, even in this alien environment. "Perfect," Jack whispered, making notes on his tablet. Back in the main complex, Samantha Powell worked with Sierra and River on medical training. If something went wrong at the council station, the wolves might need to assist injured humans. "Find help," Samantha instructed, pretending to fall injured. Sierra immediately moved to the communication panel and activated the emergency signal, while River positioned himself protectively near Samantha. Within moments, medical personnel arrived, and the wolves stepped back to allow treatment while maintaining guard positions. "Their protective instincts are remarkably adaptable," Samantha told Abigail later. "They understand the concept of threats, beyond predators or territorial rivals." As the departure date approached, the entire team gathered for a final briefing. The modified transport ship waited at a nearby airfield, equipped with special quarters for both humans and wolves. President Franklin himself had arrived to address the unusual delegation. "You carry with you the hopes of our entire planet," the president said. "Your mission is unique in human history, to demonstrate that Earth represents a different path than the Council expects. We are not tamed. We are not merely civilized. We are something new. Beings who can embrace both order and wildness, technology and nature." That night, as final preparations continued, an alarm blared through the facility. Security systems detected multiple intruders approaching from the surrounding forest. The lights cut out, plunging the complex into darkness. Emergency. Protocols, shouted General Rogers, who had been overseeing security. Protect the wolves at all costs. In the confusion that followed, masked figures moved through the shadows. They carried weapons and equipment designed to disable rather than kill. Their goal was to sabotage the mission, not create martyrs. Jack rushed to Luna's enclosure, finding her already alert, eyes gleaming in the darkness. "Stay behind me," he said out of habit, before realizing the absurdity of trying to protect an apex predator. Luna moved past him, her enhanced senses already tracking the intruders. She activated her communication tablet. Pack protect. Humans. Follow. Throughout the facility, the other enhanced wolves did the same, moving to defensive positions around their human counterparts. Ghost silently disabled an intruder attempting to hack the main security system. Timber and Sierra coordinated to herd several attackers into a storage area, where they were trapped when Ash figured out how to lock the electronic door. When security forces finally restored power and captured the remaining intruders, they discovered the attackers were part of an extremist group opposed to alien contact. The wolves had protected the mission without a single human casualty. The next morning, as the team prepared to board the transport, Jack found Luna staring at the sky. "Are you ready?" he asked. Luna turned to her communication tablet and selected, her response with careful precision, "Earth not tamed. Luna show counsel." Abigail watched from nearby, her heart filled with a strange mixture of pride and apprehension. The wolves were ready. The question was the Galactic Council ready? For them? The journey to Council Station Epsilon took 17 days. Earth ship named Wilderness traveled through space guided by the coordinates provided in the Council's message. The ship was small compared to most interstellar vessels, but it was the best humanity could produce on short notice. Luna spent much of her time in the observation deck, watching as stars streaked past. The other wolves moved about the ship with growing confidence. Each day they practiced with their human partners, preparing for their arrival at the station. "We'll reach Epsilon tomorrow," Abigail announced during their final briefing. "Everyone should be ready for anything. We have very little information about the Council species or their protocols." Jack looked around the table at the mixed group of humans and wolves. "Remember, we're a pack now. We move together, we protect each other, and we represent Earth as one unit." The wolves understood. Their enhanced minds grasped concepts like diplomacy and representation, though they processed these ideas differently than humans. For them, the mission was about territory and pack status. Earth needed to establish its place in a larger pack structure without showing submission. The first sight of Council Station Epsilon left everyone speechless. It was enormous, a spinning wheel of metal and light that dwarfed Earth's ship. Hundreds of vessels of various designs docked at its outer ring. The station housed representatives from dozens of spacefaring civilizations, most far more advanced than humanity. "Incoming transmission," reported the communications officer. "They're sending docking instructions." A voice spoke through the speakers, not the neutral translation they had heard before, but a being trying to speak Earth English. "Earth Vessel Wilderness, proceed to Docking Bay 17. Prepare for atmospheric adaptation and gravity matching. Council representatives will meet your delegation." As the ship eased into the assigned bay, everyone moved to their positions. Abigail, as mission leader, would exit first, followed by Jack with Luna, then the rest of the human-wolf pairs. Natalie made last-minute adjustments to the translation, devices each wolf wore on their special harnesses. "Remember," she told them, "the translation AI will help other species understand you, but it won't be perfect. Keep your communications clear and direct." The airlock doors opened with a soft hiss. Abigail stepped forward into a large, brightly lit chamber. Waiting for them was a group of beings unlike anything they had ever seen. 3 tall figures stood at the center. Their bodies were vaguely humanoid but covered in iridescent scales that shifted colors as they moved. Behind them stood a cluster of insect-like creatures with multiple limbs and compound eyes. To their left was a group of beings that resembled upright lizards. Several other species waited further back, some so strange that human minds struggled to process their forms. "Welcome to Council Station Epsilon," said one of the scaled beings, its voice translated through a floating device. "I am Coordinator Xerix of the Triumvirate. The coordinator paused, its scales flashing blue as it noticed the wolves. "These are not humans. Explain." Abigail stepped forward confidently. "Coordinator Xerix, I am Dr. Abigail Norton, lead representative from Earth. These are wolves, another intelligent species from our planet. They are part of our delegation." Murmurs and clicks spread through the gathering of aliens. One of the insectoid beings pushed forward, its mandibles clicking rapidly. "This is irregular," translated the device. "The invitation was for humans only. These creatures are not documented in our survey data as sapient." Luna moved forward, standing beside Abigail. She activated her translation device. "Luna represent Earth. Pack represent Earth. Earth not one species. Earth many species together." The reaction was immediate. Some of the aliens moved back in surprise. Others leaned forward with interest. The scaled coordinator's colors shifted to a deep purple. "They speak," exclaimed one of the lizard-like beings. "How is this possible? Our surveys indicated no other sapient species on the planet." "Earth wolves enhanced," Luna continued. "Humans and wolves work together. Not separate, not master and pet. Partners." Jack stepped up beside Luna. "Our planet has followed a different evolutionary path than your models predicted. Multiple species, working together, each maintaining their own nature while cooperating." The insectoid being made a sharp motion. "This is deception. These are clearly artificially enhanced animals, not true sapients. The Council does not recognize manufactured intelligence as genuine representation." Before Abigail could respond, a new figure moved through the crowd. This one was tall and slender, with pale blue skin and silver eyes that seemed to glow slightly. The other aliens moved aside respectfully. "I am Observer Kath of the Zoraxians," the being said, its voice melodic. "This is indeed unexpected, but not unwelcome. Perhaps we should allow the Earth delegation to settle in before making judgments. The Council values diversity of approach." The coordinator's scales settled into a more neutral green. "Very well. You will be escorted to your assigned quarters. The formal introduction to the Council will take place tomorrow in the Grand Assembly. There, you will explain this unusual arrangement." As they were led through the station's vast corridors, the Earth delegation attracted stares from representatives of other species. Some showed curiosity, others clear disdain. The wolves sensed the complex social dynamics immediately, picking up on subtle cues the humans missed entirely. Their quarters were spacious but clearly designed with only humans in mind. The wolves inspected every corner, scenting the air and testing surfaces. Ghost in particular seemed fascinated by the technology, watching intently as their escort demonstrated the room controls. When they were finally alone, Abigail called the team together. "First impressions?" "They're surprised," Jack said. "That gives us an advantage." Sierra used her translation device. "Many packs here, not all friends. Some afraid, some angry, some curious." "Sierra's right," Daniel added. "I noticed at least 3 distinct factions among those who greeted us. The insectoids, the Vrel I think they're called, seemed particularly hostile. And the Zoraxians seemed unusually interested in the wolves," Natalie observed. That tall one, Observer Kath, was watching Luna specifically. As they discussed strategy for the next day's assembly, Timber suddenly froze, his ears forward. Other wolves tensed as well. "What is it?" Jack asked. Luna moved to a vent near the floor and sniffed. Her translation device activated. "Someone listening. Not alone here." Samantha quickly used a scanner from their equipment. "She's right. There's an audio device in the ventilation system." The humans exchanged concerned looks. Abigail spoke quietly. "So they're monitoring us. That's not surprising, but it confirms we need to be careful. Or maybe," Jack suggested, "it confirms that the Council isn't as united as they want us to believe. Someone may be gathering information for their own purposes." That night, as the humans slept, The wolves took turns keeping watch. They had learned long ago that new territories required vigilance, and this territory was stranger than any they had encountered before. Luna stood by the large viewing window, looking out at the stars and the curve of the massive station. Somewhere out there was Earth, and something told her that their planet's future would be decided in the coming days. The council had expected tamed representatives. Instead, they got wolves, with all the cunning, loyalty, and wildness that entailed. She lifted her head slightly, feeling a strange new confidence. The wolves of Earth had arrived, and the Galactic Council had no idea what was coming. Morning came quickly on the station, though it was only the changing of the lights that marked the passage of time. The Earth delegation prepared for the Grand Assembly, where they would formally present their case to the full Galactic Council. "Remember," Abigail told everyone as they gathered, "today is about making an impression. We need to show them that Earth's approach is different but valuable." The wolves wore their special harnesses, each customized with communication devices and sensors. They had practiced for this moment for weeks, but nothing could fully prepare them for the reality of facing dozens of alien species in a massive chamber designed to intimidate newcomers. An escort arrived to lead them to the assembly. As they walked through the wide corridors, they passed representatives from many worlds. Some nodded in greeting, while others stared openly at the wolves. A few even stepped back, clearly uncomfortable with the presence of what they perceived as predators. The Grand Assembly chamber was enormous. Curved rows of seating rose in a circle around a central speaking platform. Above, a domed ceiling displayed a moving star map of the known galaxy, with council worlds marked in bright colors. Earth appeared as a small unmarked dot near the outer edge. Coordinator Zarek stood on a raised platform with the other members of the triumvirate. The assembly recognizes the delegation from Earth, classification, tamed world, technology level 3. Abigail stepped forward onto the speaking platform, with Luna walking calmly beside her. "Respected members of the council, we thank you for this invitation. However, we must address the classification you have assigned to our world." Murmurs spread through the chamber as hundreds of translation devices worked simultaneously. Earth is not a tamed world in the sense you have defined. We represent a different evolutionary path, one where cooperation between species has created a unique balance between civilization and natural instinct. One of the insectoid Vrel representatives stood. "This is irrelevant. Your technological development follows the standard pattern of a level 3 world. The presence of altered animals does not change your classification." Luna stepped forward, causing a ripple of surprise through the assembly. Her translation device activated, projecting her thoughts in a clear voice that carried throughout the chamber. "Luna not altered animal. Luna wolf. Enhanced, yes, but still wolf. Still have wolf mind, wolf heart. Humans not tame wolves. Wolves choose to work with humans. Partnership, not control." A lizard-like representative leaned forward. "If these wolves are as you claim, then prove it. Let them demonstrate their abilities without human guidance." Jack looked at Luna, who gave a small nod. This was something they had prepared for. Jack stepped back, joining the rest of the human team at the edge of the platform. Luna signaled to the other wolves and they moved into position. What followed was not what anyone in the council expected. Instead of performing tricks or demonstrations of intelligence, the wolves began a complex series of movements and interactions that mimicked their natural pack behavior, enhanced by their new cognitive abilities. They showed hunting strategies, territory defense, care for weaker members, and complex decision-making. Through their translation devices, they explained each behavior, drawing parallels to council politics and diplomatic traditions. "Wolves understand pack structure," Timber's device translated. "Council is large pack. Many species, many interests, but pack must work together or all suffer." Sierra demonstrated how wolves communicate through body language. Not just words, position, movement, scent tell truth when words lie. The wolves then did something unexpected. They began identifying the hidden alliances and conflicts within the council itself, showing how they had observed the subtle interactions between species since their arrival. Vrel representatives fear Earth because humans adapt quickly. Ghosts, calm voice stated. Zoraxians interested in wolves because they study minds. Delvarians watch from distance, waiting to see advantage. The chamber grew quiet. Many council members shifted uncomfortably, surprised by how much these Earth creatures had discerned in such a short time. Observer Kath of the Zoraxians rose from his seat. Fascinating. These wolves show remarkable perception. Perhaps we have indeed misunderstood Earth's development path. Before the discussion could continue, alarms suddenly blared throughout the chamber. Red lights flashed as a voice announced, "Security alert, containment breach in Laboratory Section 7. All representatives please remain in secure areas." Panic spread through the assembly. Many representatives rushed toward exits while others called for information. The triumvirate members spoke urgently into communication devices. Coordinator Xerix raised his voice over the confusion. "Remain calm. Security forces are responding. The Earth delegation will be escorted back to their quarters for safety." Luna's ears perked forward. She exchanged looks with the other wolves. Something wasn't right. They could sense it in the reactions of certain council members. Not surprise, but expectation.
"Not accident," Luna told Abigail quietly. "Smell fear before alarm." Some knew. Abigail nodded slightly, understanding. "Coordinator," she called out. "The Earth delegation offers assistance. Our wolves have enhanced senses that might help locate the source of the problem."
The coordinator hesitated, scales shifting between colors. "This is not necessary. Our security—" He was interrupted by another announcement. "Warning. Atmospheric contamination detected. Quarantine procedures initiating in sections 5 through 9. One of the other triumvirate members, a being with 4 arms and silvery skin, leaned toward Xerix. "The containment systems are failing. If this spreads through the station," Abigail stepped forward. "Please let us help. This is exactly why Earth's approach is valuable. We combine technology with natural abilities." After a brief consultation, Coordinator Xerix nodded reluctantly. "Very well. You will be permitted to assist under supervision." As they left the chamber with the security team, Jack whispered to Abigail, "This timing seems convenient, just as we were making progress." "Too convenient," she agreed quietly. The wolves led the way, following their enhanced senses toward the affected areas. The station's corridors became less crowded as they approached the quarantine zone. Warning lights flashed at sealed doorways, and station personnel in protective gear hurried past. When they reached the edge of Section 7, they found chaos. The security officer leading them received urgent communications through his headset. "The containment failure is spreading. Some kind of pathogen was released from the xenobiology lab. It's affecting the station's environmental systems." Luna sniffed the air carefully, then exchanged looks with Timber and Sierra. Through their translation devices, they communicated with the humans. "Not normal spread pattern," Timber noted. "Moving too fast in specific directions." "Like guided," Sierra added. "Following air systems to important areas." Ghost, who had been examining a nearby control panel, activated his device. "Not accident. Deliberate release." The security officer looked alarmed. "That's a serious accusation." Abigail stood firm. "Our wolves can track the source. Their senses are far more acute than your scanners, especially for biological agents." After a moment of hesitation, the officer agreed. "We have no better options. The station's systems are failing to contain this." With that, the Earth delegation was granted emergency access to the quarantine zone. As they donned protective gear, Luna locked eyes with Jack. Both knew this was more than a simple accident. Someone on the council wanted to disrupt Earth's presentation, or worse, create an incident that would confirm their tamed status. But they had made a serious miscalculation. Whoever had planned this didn't understand what it meant to have wolves on your side during a crisis. And these weren't just any wolves. They were Earth's wolves, representing a planet that had never truly been tamed at all. The protective suits felt strange to the wolves, but they understood the necessity. Luna took the lead as they entered the quarantine zone. The station's emergency lighting cast an eerie red glow over everything, and warning messages played in multiple languages through the speakers. "The pathogen is spreading through the ventilation system," explained the security officer. "Our sensors can't pinpoint the source." Luna lifted her head, nostrils flaring inside her protective mask. Even through the filters, her enhanced senses could detect subtle differences in the air. She padded forward confidently, followed by Timber and Ghost, while Sierra, River, Hunter, and Ash formed a protective circle around the humans. The wolves led the team through a maze of corridors, moving steadily toward the center of the contaminated area. Station personnel they passed looked surprised to see Earth wolves in protective gear, moving with purpose through the crisis. "We're approaching the xenobiology labs," the security officer warned. "This area contains research specimens from dozens of worlds." Jack studied a station map on his tablet. "The ventilation hub for this entire section is just beyond these labs. If someone wanted to spread something throughout the station, that would be the place to do it," Abigail finished. Luna suddenly stopped, her posture alert. Through her translation device, she communicated, "Close now. Smell changes. 2 directions." She looked at Timber, and some silent communication passed between them. Timber's device activated. "Split pack. Luna, Ghost, Jack, Abigail follow first trail. Timber lead others on second trail." The security officer hesitated, but Abigail nodded firmly. "We trust their judgment." The group divided as suggested. Luna led her smaller team down a narrow service corridor that human designers might have overlooked. At the end, they found a small maintenance hatch. Ghost examined the electronic lock, his white head tilted in concentration. After a moment, he pressed a series of controls with his paw, and the hatch slid open. "How did he do that?" The security officer whispered. "Ghost understands patterns," Jack explained. "Technology to him is just another kind of pattern." Inside, they discovered a small chamber with direct access to the main ventilation system. A device had been attached to one of the large air ducts, its lights blinking as it steadily released a fine mist into the airflow. "There's our source," Abigail said, taking pictures with her tablet. "This was definitely planned. This access point isn't on the main station schematics." Luna's ears suddenly perked forward. She growled softly, looking toward another small doorway on the far side of the chamber. Jack tensed. "Someone's there." The door burst open. 2 figures in sealed suits rushed in, holding weapons. They froze when they saw the Earth team. "Security. Breach," one of them shouted into a communicator. "The Earth delegation has tampered with station systems." Luna didn't hesitate. She lunged forward, not attacking but positioning herself between the armed figures and her human companions. Ghost circled to the side, silent and nearly invisible in the dim red lighting. "Stand down," Jack called. "We're here under triumvirate authorization." The Earth delegation was supposed to be confined to their quarters, the taller figure replied. "Your presence here is suspicious." Luna's translation device activated. "You planted device. We followed scent. You cause problem. Blame Earth." The Ike figures looked at each other, clearly surprised that a wolf had spoken to them. In that moment of distraction, Ghost made his move. In a blur of white, he knocked the weapon from the hand of the shorter figure. Alarms blared again, and the main door to the chamber slid open. Coordinator Xerix rushed in with several security officers, followed by the rest of the Earth team with Timber in the lead. "What is happening here?" the coordinator demanded, his scales flashing between colors. Abigail pointed to the device attached to the ventilation system. "This is releasing the pathogen, and these 2 were here to make sure it continued functioning." "Absurd," said the taller figure, removing his helmet to reveal insectoid features. "We are Vrel Security, investigating the Earth delegation's suspicious movements." Timber stepped forward, his translator activating. "Found second device. Already disabled. Also found this." The wolf gently placed a small data device on the floor. "Contains orders. Plan to discredit Earth." The coordinator took the device, examining it with growing concern. These are Vrel diplomatic codes. Over the next several hours, the truth emerged. A faction within the Vrel delegation had orchestrated the crisis, hoping to discredit Earth's representatives and maintain their influence over newly discovered worlds. The pathogen was never meant to be lethal, only to cause enough disruption to end Earth's presentation and force them to accept tamed status. Instead, the wolves had not only tracked the source, but had gathered evidence of the plot. Station. Systems were gradually restored, and the pathogen neutralized by the station's medical teams. 3 days later, the Earth delegation once again stood before the Grand Assembly, but the atmosphere was entirely different. The triumvirate addressed the gathered representatives. In light of recent events and new evidence, the Council must reconsider Earth's classification, Coordinator Xerix announced. The actions of their delegation during the crisis demonstrated qualities that do not fit our traditional categories. Observer. Kath of the Zoraxians rose to speak. I propose a new classification for Earth, symbiotic sovereign. Their evolutionary path represents a unique approach. Multiple species working together while each maintains their essential nature. Murmurs spread through the assembly as the proposal was considered. The Vrel representatives remained silent, several of their leaders having been removed from the council pending investigation. The vote, when it came, was not unanimous, but had clear majority support. Earth would be recognized as a symbiotic sovereign, a new category that acknowledged their unique approach and granted them full rights within council space. As the Earth delegation prepared for their journey home, Luna stood with Jack at a viewing window, looking out at the stars. We did it, Jack said, placing his hand gently on Luna's head. Earth will chart its own path now. Luna's translator activated. Not tamed, never tamed, partners. Abigail joined them, smiling. The Council has already received requests from 7 other worlds asking to send mixed species delegations. We've started something new. On their last day, Observer Kath approached them privately. Your wolves have changed many minds here. Some of us have long questioned the rigid classifications that have guided Council policy. Perhaps it is time for the galaxy to learn what Earth already knows, that true strength comes not from taming nature, but from finding harmony with it. As their ship departed from Council Station Epsilon, the Earth delegation felt the weight of what they had accomplished. They were returning as pioneers who had reshaped galactic politics. In the ship's common area, Luna gathered with the other wolves. Through their translation devices, they shared observations and memories of their journey. They had represented not just humanity but all of Earth, its complexity, its contradictions, and its unique path through the cosmos. Back on Earth, preparations had already begun. Other species were being considered for enhancement: ravens, dolphins, elephants, each bringing different perspectives and abilities. The age of single-species representation was ending. Earth would go to the stars not as humans alone, but as a planet of partners. Luna looked out at the star-filled darkness, feeling a deep connection to both her wild heritage and her new role. The Council had called Earth tamed, but Earth's wolves had shown them how wrong they were, and that was just the beginning.